Well, it's Mike Messier with a little Mike Messier insight. We're just in a very impressive antiques and artifacts store right off the highway. First thing I did when I got in there, I looked around, I soaked it in for half a second. I said to the lady behind the counter, "Hey, this is great. How long have you guys been here?" She said 10 years. I said, "Oh, I didn't know." So that's one thing, is when you have a business, if people don't know you have a business, then you don't have a business. You have to advertise, you have to have a bold, colorful sign inside the antique store. It's very bold, colorful, a museum-esque quality, which brings me to my next point. But if people don't know that you have the place, or they just drive right by it, then you've just shot yourself in the ass. My second point, I don't know if you saw the video, you could tell, but in this particular place, there was a lot of cool stuff, but that's the problem. There's too much cool stuff, and that gets to be what I call museuming. Museuming. Now, is that a word? Museuming means you've got so much cool stuff in one store that the human eye no longer registers these things, or the human brain, the soul, the spirit, like, hey, I want to buy something, because it's too much. If you have 1,000 cool things in your store, that's worse or not as good if you have 5 cool things in your store. The same thing with menu items. Like, if you ever go to a restaurant and you're like, wow, there's just too much on the menu, I can't decide, and you sit there like an asshole trying to figure out what you want, and then you have to ask the fucking waiter for help, and you've wasted 10 minutes of everybody's day. If you do that, it's the same fucking thing. You have overwhelmed the customer with choice. And so museuming is my new term of the goddamn Mike Messier day. Museuming Mike Messier means you've overwhelmed me with awesome choices. Everything is great. I feel like I'm in a museum. I feel like I'm in an art museum or a pop culture museum, which is what this antique store, God bless its soul, seems like. It doesn't seem like I'm in a store, like, oh, a cool comic book store where there's some cool comic books, I'll buy it. No, it's like tons and tons and tons of choices. You want your Civil War, you want your World War II, you want your Marilyn Monroe movie poster or painting. You can't give me all these options. And basically it's one of these places that I think the deal is they have different consigners. So all the consigners think that they've hit the eureka jackpot. I'm going to bring my thing to this antique store and sell. But the reality is now they're competing with every other asshole who has pop culture or history stuff. You've brought your cool piece of art or collectible item to a place with tons of cool pop culture arts and collectible items. So that's the whole theory of, too much is too much. So I'm going to get on the highway. I'll talk to you later. MikeMessier.com. Bye. Museuming.